Hey guys, it's Algebra Day 3. We're going to talk more about substitution today, and you all are going to develop excellent math habits. Remember how I told you that I will be telling you for the rest of the year to do your work on 3 lines: formula, substitute, and solve. We are going to work on developing those habits today. All right, before we do that, let's review really quick. We have a couple word problems at the top of your notes. So let's do those together. Nathaniel bought 22 postcards. Kellen bought Y times as many postcards as Nathaniel. How many postcards did Kellen buy? Well, we don't know how many times Nathaniel's postcards Kellen bought, but let's go ahead and model this. This is Nathaniel's amount of postcards. Here's Kellen's. We know he bought some number times as many as Nathaniel. So we're going to draw that like this with a little squiggly line in the middle because we don't know how many more units of postcards Kellen actually bought. But this is what we would want to know. So we're going to represent it like that visually. And algebraically, we're going to represent it like that. So Kellen bought 22 times Y postcards. Next one. Alyssa bought 8 books at $8 each and a magazine for $8. How much money did she spend altogether? I like this model. This is really fun. Okay, this is how we're going to draw this. So Alyssa bought 8 books at $8 each. We don't know how many dollars A is. Plus a magazine for $8. So let's put her magazine right there. Now we're going to put her units of books over here. And each of these units cost $8. We want to know how much money Alyssa spent altogether. So that's how we would represent that visually with our model. How would we represent that algebraically? Well, we have 8 units of A, right? So we're going to do 8A. And remember, when we have a coefficient and a variable right next to each other, that's how we want to represent 8 times A. And then we have this little 8 over at $8 at the end. So we're going to say plus 8, and everything is in dollars. So we're going to put our parentheses around our algebraic expression and add a dollar label. And it looks like that. Okay, so let's talk about substitution. So when you replace a variable like x or n or y or anything with a value, we are going to show your work as follows. First, you're going to write out the problem. We've already practiced this a little bit. Under the problem, rewrite all the values and operations, and then you're going to substitute the value for the variable. And what I mean by that is you're going to substitute the number that you're given in the problem for the variable. Then on the next line, oops, I have a typo there, sorry guys. On the next line, you're going to solve the problem and provide a label if needed. It's very important that you work vertically when solving problems, any kind of problem that requires a formula and substitution. So here's what that'll look like. For example, we are going to solve the problem n plus 4 when n equals 6. Here's how we'll write that. We're first going to write the problem. So we rewrite n plus 4. Then you're going to substitute in the number. So in this case, n equals 6. So instead of the n, we now write the 6 and we write the plus 4. So we write the entire problem with the correct number substituted in for the variable. You're going to write it under the original problem, not next to it. Then you're going to solve the problem and you're going to label it if necessary. Okay, let's look at it again. So now we're going to solve n divided by 2 when n equals 6. I think that this, way that we're writing division here is throwing people off. So the way I like to remember that this is I just read it from top to bottom. So I'm reading n, and then this line means divided by 2. So if I were to write that out with you know, the traditional like bendy division sign, it would look like n divided by 2, okay? But we're not going to do that anymore because, you know, we're in 6th grade. So just read it from top to bottom and you should be fine. So n divided by 2 and n equals 6. Our first step is to rewrite the problem. Then we're going to substitute in the number for the variable. We write it underneath the original problem, not next to it, and then we solve it. So we substituted in 6 for n, so our problem became 6 divided by 2. The answer is 3. Okay, so you guys have a whole bunch of toyos in your notes. So remember, when you're doing these toyos, I want you to substitute under the problem, not next to the problem. And then on the next line, you're going to solve it. So you should have 3 lines of work, one on top of the other, okay? Go ahead and pause the video, work on the toyos, maybe do the first 3, come back and check, then do another 3, come back and check, and then, let's see, you've got, looks like you've got 8 altogether, and then maybe do the last 2. So I'll demonstrate a couple from each set. Okay, go ahead and do that now. All right, let's look at some answers. So letter A, you were asked to find the value of the algebraic expression 10 plus n when n equals 6. So we have our first line, 10 plus n. Our second line, we substitute in 6. And of course, the answer is 16. Okay, letter B, n is still 6 for this whole page. So we have 15 minus n. We substitute on the second line, 15 minus 6, and our answer is 9. Letter C, now we have n minus 6. We substitute 6 in for the n, and of course 6 minus 6 is 0. Letter D, now we have 4n. So remember, when our coefficient and our variable are right next to each other, then we multiply. When we substitute in the 6 for the n, now all of a sudden we have to put a dot, right? Because it wouldn't make sense if we did that. That's just the number 46. So we have to use a multiplication symbol, and in algebra we're using the dot. So we have 4 times 6 is 24. All right, letter E, we have 10n. We write the problem, rewrite the values, 10 times 6, and then we solve it for 60. Letter F, now we've got n divided by 2, substitute 6, so 6 divided by 2. Remember, I'm reading that from top to bottom, 6 divided by 2, and my answer is 3. Letter G, now I have n divided by 6. I substitute 6 divided by 6, and my answer is 1. That looks like an L, but it's a 1. Letter H is your last one. You have n divided by 12. Substitute in the 6. Now you have 6 divided by 12. And look at that, you have a fraction. Goodness gracious. All right. I hope we remember from 5th grade how to find equivalent fractions and reduce them. So since we have 6 divided by 12, we would look for a common factor between 6 and 12 to see if we can reduce that fraction. Of course, 6 is a common factor between both. So we would divide 6 by 6, we get 1. If we divide 12 by 6, we get 2. We end up with a fraction, 1/2. So there you go. All right, my friends, your homework tonight is workbook exercise 1. I know you're really excited to start working in your workbook. So in order to receive full credit, I have another typo. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm going to have to redo this PowerPoint before I show it to you guys tomorrow, although now it's forever on YouTube. So I guess you guys can call me on that. But in order to receive full credit, you must show your work the way we did it in class. So 3 lines, problem, and then substitute, and then solve. Your answer, make sure that you have your labels if necessary. All right, that's it.